Samurais once had the highest order in Japanese societies. Their nobility and chivalry were only second to their art of fighting. For a tradition so sacred to the Japanese natives, there's only one man in history that flipped the rule in his favor. We don't know his name, but he'll go down as Yasuke in history. And he emerged from Africa. This is the story of the first and only black samurai in Japan who carved his own legacy. Almost 500 years ago, Yasuke arrived in Japan from an unknown territory in Africa. Much about his early life still remains a mystery. Historiographers only have a hunch about his homeland. In popular accounts, it's widely believed that he came from Mozambique, while some people believe he was either from Angola or Ethiopia. There's a lot of speculation about his origins, but recorded history has given us a new angle into this mystery. New studies into the life of Yasuke suggest that he could be from the tribe of Dinka in South Sudan. But the only most conclusive evidence is the black samurai's towering height of 6'2". It's no wonder he quickly exerted dominance in Japan. For a country whose average height is about 5'8", that was a shocking trait to see. Even then, we're uncertain about Yasuke's origin, mainly because it's difficult to answer one hard-hitting question. How was a samurai a free man to begin with? But before continuing this samurai story, please support the channel with your subscription and leave a like to the video. Thank you so much. Now let's get back to the story. Recorded histories in Japan show that Yasuke arrived in the foreign land in 1579. A quick glance into history would tell you that almost all of Africa was under the colonial rule of either Europeans or Arabs. There's a huge possibility that Yasuke himself was a slave. So there's little doubt that he must have done something extraordinary to escape enslavement. How exactly he did that, or if he did that, would probably always remain a mystery to us. Yet, the most important question to ask here is how Yasuke found his way to Japan. This is where the story of the samurai becomes more interesting. And well, we also need to start digging into another historical theory. What we know about Yasuke is that he had accompanied an Italian Jesuit named Alessandro Valignano in his voyages. Given the samurai's strong build and towering height, it makes a lot of sense that he was actually the priest's bodyguard. That's all we know about the relationship with the Jesuit. Here's the thing though, Valignano's voyages might help us know a little bit more about the enigmatic samurai. Today, Valignano is credited with bringing the Catholic faith to the Far East, in countries like Japan and China. But before he started his missionary purposes in the Far East, he made a quick pit stop in India. In fact, he found his voyage to Japan from a sea route starting from the South Asian country. So, was Yasuke a free man living in India? Well, not exactly. Not to mention, it wasn't uncommon for African men to work in industries under British rule. Let's take a small historical interlude here. If the samurai found his voyage from India, there was a huge chance that he was an enslaved child when he came far from home. Such enslaved children grew up in the country as military slaves or as soldiers. But if he embarked on a journey with Valignano from India, he was most likely a free person or escaped his enslavement. A slave or low-wage worker, in all likelihood, those were the lifestyles that Yasuke was living until his destiny found him in the streets of Kyoto. Yep, this is an epic tale of a common man finding his place in a high-class, untouchable faction of Japanese society. And you wouldn't be surprised to know that the epic tale had a perfect opening scene, straight out of a movie. As soon as Yasuke arrived in the foreign city, he became a sight to see. No one in Kyoto had seen someone with dark skin and a height that would have towered them on any given day. The war-ridden state of the Sengoku times added even more curiosity to the soon-to-be samurai's presence. The word on the street made the African man the hottest new villain. And when you have a threat on your doorstep in feudal Japan, who do you call? The samurai. But somehow, Yasuke's fate took him straight to the realm of the king, Oda Nobunaga, the Japanese daimyo of one of the greatest unifiers of the country. And legend has it that he was a force to be reckoned with, ruthless in all aspects. Earning the respect of Oda wasn't an easy feat. But hey, Yasuke is known to beat all the odds, even the most unimaginable ones. Sure, you might not believe in fate and destiny, but the way Oda met Yasuke is nothing short of a miracle. Here's the thing. By all accounts, Valignano's voyage was only meant to cross Japanese territory for missionary purposes, and as his manservant, Yasuke was supposed to leave with him, not before picking a fight with a citizen of Kyoto though. Thomas Lockley, who has recorded most of Yasuke's history, says that the African man took out his opponent in mere seconds. A warrior, known to have the strength of 10 men, would do that to you. No one knew that the feudal lord was witnessing the Titan going off on his own citizens, and his reaction will shock you. Oda was blown away by Yasuke's bravery and strength. He was so impressed that he decided to throw a party in the victor's honor. All things considered, the royal party perhaps has the most significance in this entire story. When Oda congratulated the hero to his decisive victory, he also offered him to take a bath because of the dirt on his body. Yasuke then reminded the lord that's just his skin color, no matter how many scrubs he does, he's always going to remain a black individual. For the daimyo, this was an eye-opening revelation. Okay, if this moment rang a bell, then the Netflix adaptation of Yasuke's story depicts a very similar scene. But of course, the anime isn't very reflective of history. Next thing we know, Oda welcomed Yasuke to his court, and when the 6'2" man picked his first weapon, he was accepted into the noble faction of samurais. This victory, on its own, is enough for the first black man to go down as the greatest samurai of the Sengoku times. By all means, this one decision alone should have changed Japanese history. But the story doesn't end there, and we're now about to hear Yasuke's ultimate act of bravery, a moment that surely changed everything in the history of samurai in Japan. In 1582, Nobunaga was traveling with his 30 men to fight a battle when he was ambushed by his own general, Akishi. In the unexpected act of betrayal, the defiant general wanted his lord's place. From the very start, the feudal lord was outnumbered. Even the most skilled samurais aren't a match for the army of 13,000 men. That's when Oda decided to perform the seppuku, a ritualistic way to die an honorable death. When Oda was finally decapitated by his lover, the legend says that he entrusted Yasuke to save his head from the enemy. If Akishi had acquired Oda's head, he had the means to gain legitimate rule in the land. How could the lord's loyal men let it happen? So, he did what he was ordered to. He ran, and the kingdom rightfully went to Oda's son, Nobunaga. Yet, Yasuke's life was also short-lived. Soon enough, the new lord fights Akishi and loses the decisive battle. The historical record shows that Yasuke was severely injured. It was the day after his lord's death that he wasn't able to cope. If he died on the battlefield or not is still a mystery. But his last historical record is found as an injured man in the priest's house. There's no way to verify the accuracy of this detail, but for all we know, Yasuke wouldn't have gone gently into that good night. The story of Yasuke starts when the black and African American population is highly oppressed under colonial powers. For him to gain heroism in Japan is a break in that cycle of oppression. That's also when the Japanese court starts to record its history, which is somewhat inclusive. Believe it or not, Yasuke isn't the first non-native man to visit the country or to join the high ranks. Yet, he's the first known man. We wonder how many heroes like Yasuke have gone unacknowledged, because, if anything, a powerful African joining the samurais gave the society an added layer of protection. And that is the true glory of inclusivity and diversity. Enjoyed the story of the first black person to join the samurais? If so, maybe give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content just like this. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Take care.